How many times have you told yourself you were going to do something? Start on Monday, this time for real, no more excuses, and then you didn't. How many times has the cycle made you trust yourself a little less? Today, we are going to talk about how to rebuild the most important relationship in your life, and that's the relationship with yourself. Hi, my name is Suzette. I'm a personal transformation and mindset coach. This topic comes up in every coaching conversation I have, usually not directly, but underneath everything else. A client will say they lack confidence or motivation or even discipline. But when we go deeper, what's really there is a broken relationship with themselves, a pattern of promises made and broken, a quiet internal verdict of I can't rely on myself. So let's talk about how to repair this. Self-trust doesn't usually break in one dramatic moment. It erodes gradually through a specific mechanism, the gap between what you say and what you end up doing. Every time you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow and don't, that is small erosion. Every time you set a goal and abandon it quietly, that is small erosion. Every time you override your own instincts and then find out that you were right, that is small erosion. Every time you say yes to something you knew you should say no to, that is small erosion. None of these individual moments feels catastrophic, but they accumulate into something that feels catastrophic. The deep, quiet conviction that you cannot be counted on by yourself or yourself. And here is what makes this so damaging. When you don't trust yourself, you outsource your decisions. You seek constant validation and reassurance from others because your own internal signal doesn't feel reliable. You procrastinate on decisions because making a decision means trusting your own judgment. You stay stuck not because you lack clarity, but because you've learned not to believe yourself, even when you do have the clarity. Self-doubt at its core is often not uncertainty about the world. It is uncertainty about yourself, about whether you will actually follow through when it matters. I want you to think about self-trust like a bank account. Every promise you make to yourself is a deposit or a withdrawal, depending on whether you keep it. Keep a small promise, a 5-minute workout, 1-page journaling, sending that message that you wanted to send. That's a deposit. Break a big promise, the whole new plan, the complete life overhaul, the dramatic fresh start. That is a massive withdrawal. Here is where most people go wrong. They try to rebuild self-trust by making bigger and bigger promises. This time I'm really going to change everything. And then they can't sustain it. And the withdrawal is larger than ever before. The way to rebuild a depleted self-trust account is the opposite of what feels right. It is to make small promises and to keep them consistently over time. Not I'm going to work out every day for an hour. Try saying, I'm going to do 10 minutes of movement tomorrow morning. Keep that promise. Then do it again. The goal is not to impress yourself. The goal is to re-establish yourself as someone who does what they say they will do. And you do that through evidence. Small, repeated, accumulated evidence. Let me give you 5 specific practices to rebuild self-trust. Practice 1, it's micro commitment. Every day, make one small commitment, something you could complete in under 10 minutes, and complete it. That's it. The size is irrelevant. The completion is everything. You are retraining your internal system to experience, I said I'd do this, and I did it. Practice 2, stop overpromising. Most self-trust damage comes from commitments that were too large to sustain. Before you make any promise to yourself going forward, ask, could I keep this promise even on my worst day of the week? If not, make it smaller until the answer is yes. Practice 3. Process your broken promises. Don't just skip past them. When you break a commitment to yourself, take 2 minutes to acknowledge it without drama. I said I'd do X and I didn't. Here's what actually happened. Here's what I'll do differently tomorrow. No spiral, no identity conclusion, just honest accounting. Practice 4. Keep your word to yourself the way that you'd keep it to someone that you respect. Most people keep their word to others far more reliably than they do to themselves. Start treating yourself as the most important person in your life, the person that you respect the most. If you'd cancel other things to keep a commitment to your best friend, apply some of the same seriousness to the commitments that you make to yourself. Practice 5. Acknowledge your kept promises. We are conditioned to notice the broken promises, but not the ones that we have kept. Actively notice at the end of each day the promises that you have kept, the alarm you got up to, the meal you made, the things you did. Rebuild the evidence base that you are in fact someone who follows through. There's an inner verdict that most people are carrying that sounds something like, I always end up back here. I always start things and don't finish them. I always find a way to undermine myself. This verdict feels like self-awareness. It is actually self-definition. Self-definition determines behavior more powerfully than any motivation, strategy, or circumstance. The goal is everything I've described today. It's not just to get things done. It is to change the inner verdict from I can't count on myself to I am someone who does what they say they will do. From I always give up to I'm building the evidence that follows through. That shift in identity is what makes self-trust permanent rather than sustainable. Rebuilding self-trust is quiet work. It doesn't look dramatic. Nobody gives you a round of applause for keeping a 10-minute promise to yourself. But the internal shift, the moment your own word starts to mean something to you again, that's one of the most significant transformations available to a human being. Because when you trust yourself, you stop needing external permission. You start making decisions from your own authority, and that changes everything. If you want to work on this with structure and accountability, this is exactly the kind of deep work that we do in my 12-week transformation program. The link is in my description along with my free breakthrough session. In my next video, I'm covering something powerful, how to stop seeking validations from others and start becoming your own source of approval. If this resonates, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I am ready to trust myself. That way you and I can hold each other accountable for making this our best and most successful year yet.